Guys, whatever you do on this video, don't get mad at me. I'm just the messenger. We're going to dive into 8 things millionaires will never openly admit. These are the truths that get swept under the rug, usually, right? The stuff you won't see on the IG highlights and the IG reels. You see the cars, the clothes, the vacations, and all the smiles, right? But you won't see the confessions that I'm going to expose and share with you on this video. So let's jump right in. The first thing that millionaires never admit is the fear of losing it all. Now listen, you got to realize this. Even millionaires, they quietly stress about market crashes, about lawsuits, about their lifestyle collapsing, right? They won't tell you that at night, they sometimes wonder, what if this all goes away? Look, millionaires are human beings. They have money worries and money concerns just like the next person, right? Some of them still feel insecure about money. Wealth does not totally erase the scarcity mindset. Some people still worry. Some people that have millions, they still worry like they're broke, especially if they started life broke, right? Think about it. If you grew up watching your parents struggle, clipping coupons, stressing over what you can wear to school tomorrow because you only got 3-4 pairs of pants, stressing over every single bill that comes in the mail, then decades later, now you're a millionaire. You can walk into any store and buy anything you want, but your brain doesn't automatically switch off those old habits and those old thoughts. So you have to be disciplined as a millionaire, but you also have to learn to feel secure with money. And that learning curve is real. Listen, the doubt, the fear, the stress, these things don't disappear just because you have money. The truth is, a lot of rich people don't feel rich as you think they do, or you think they should. With inflation, rising cost of everything, comparing yourself to other people, $1 million can still feel to a lot of people like it ain't enough. Now, the second thing that millionaires don't admit is that their belief system was not normal to get to where they are. Millionaires rarely admit just how strange their belief system had to be compared to everybody around them in order to grow wealth, in order to get rich, right? You see a lot of millionaires talking about the grind, the hustle, the long nights. But what they don't say is, I had to literally believe something outrageous that nobody else believed in, or that everybody around me didn't believe in, right? A lot of millionaires had to have overconfidence, right? They had to be delusional enough to keep going when everybody around them said, you need to stop, cut it out, do something different. The millionaire's belief system oftentimes is what created the connections, or it created the right timing, or it created those odd and weird opportunities that ultimately made them successful and made them rich. See, there's always a turning point in most wealthy people's lives where they had to make a decision that changed everything. And to make that decision, they had to have a weird, odd, out-of-the-world belief system that kept them going. A belief system that was more focused, more driven, more visionary, and more outrageously crazy than everybody that was around them. I mean, I can take me, for example, guys. Up until I was age 30 years old, I had never lived in a home owned by anybody that I knew. I was a renter till I was 30 years old. Who was I to believe that I could somehow own a bunch of houses and build my wealth to a 7-figure net worth, right? You have to believe something out of the ordinary and then go achieve it, right? Millionaires, most millionaires, I'm not talking about the people that inherited money. I'm talking about most millionaires. They don't admit it, but their belief system was not normal. It was very radical. Now, the third thing that most millionaires will never admit is that money changes relationships. Now, this is a tough one. Friends, family members, a lot of them can treat millionaires or people with a lot of money differently. Let's be real on this video. Let's talk about it. Millionaires won't admit how sometimes isolating themselves, how tough it can feel. See, some friends get jealous. Some family members get jealous. Some people see you as a walking ATM because they know you got money. And some relationships go sour when money gets involved. We know that, right? Listen, real talk. Rich people avoid certain people and certain situations because of their money, but they won't admit that. Now, some even feel guilty. And so you see some rich people overcompensating, right? Picking up the tab all the time, giving gifts or saying yes to things they really don't want to say yes to. So listen, some rich people have to consciously be careful not to spend too much money when they're around people who don't have money, right? Millionaires also avoid the money conversation when it comes to friends and family because it can ruin relationships. And they also realize that those type of conversations can spark envy, judgment, or somebody asking for money, right? I know people who downplay their success and they don't tell their new friends or their family members what they do or how much they make or how much they have, because that can change the dynamics of relationships the second that money enters into the conversation. That's just the ugly truth. Now, the fourth thing that a lot of millionaires won't admit is that they've failed more than they've succeeded. See, the world sees the highlight reel. The world sees the big wins. The world sees the luxurious lifestyle or the stuff you might buy with your money, right? But what the world don't see is the mountain of failures underneath all the successes. See, a lot of millionaires, they don't like to talk about the failed businesses, right? The bad investments, the partnerships that collapsed everything, or the money that they lost due to their own dumb decisions. Personally, I've had foreclosures, bank overdrafts up to $1,000. IRS debt, over $25,000 I owed to IRS once I got audited one time, right? All due to bad decisions on my part. I had failures stacked up on top of failures. But look, those failures for me as a millionaire, those failures became tuition for my successes. Now, most millionaires, they don't like to bring up the bad. And I don't think it's really because millionaires are ashamed of the bad or they just don't want you to know. But I think really it's because a lot of millionaires, a lot of successful people, they tend to live in the future. They tend to live on a vision and not looking back and dwelling on the past. A lot of millionaires, they don't trip or live according to their failures that happened in the past. So sometimes those failures for millionaires, they just become an afterthought. Now, there's some millionaires that are ashamed of their past, right? But for most of them, I think they just keep moving forward. And when you're living life moving forward, creating, doing things, building and so forth, you just don't get caught up talking about the past too often. But make no mistake, a lot of millionaires have failed more times than they've actually won. Guys, if you're getting anything out of this video, do me a favor and smash that like button below. Also, please share this video with your friends, your family, and your network of people. And don't forget to drop that comment below. I want to hear from you. Now, let's get back to the video. Now, the fifth thing is this. A lot of millionaires, they try to pay as few taxes as possible legally. This one we all know deep down, but millionaires really don't like to admit this nowadays as much, right? Millionaires spend a boatload of money on accountants, on lawyers, on strategies to reduce their tax bill, not necessarily by cheating. I'm not saying millionaires are cheating, but by playing the game better, being more strategic, by using the rules that the government has created and using those rules to reduce their tax liability as low and as little as possible, right? What millionaires will do is they'll create LLCs, S-corps, holding companies, and different types of trust, right? They'll use depreciation on real estate. They'll give money to charity, but also at the same time, all the while, reduce their taxable income. This is the absolute truth. Regular people who make regular money complain about taxes. Where you got millionaires who make millionaire money, they strategize around taxes. But it ain't real popular to say nowadays, so you don't hear a lot of millionaires talking about it. Now, the sixth thing that you won't catch a millionaire admitting nowadays is they still want more. Look, people think that you become a millionaire and that's the finish line. It's not. It's just another lap around the track. Millionaires won't admit this out loud because society loves to slap labels on people with money nowadays as being selfish and greedy or never satisfied. But the truth is this, almost nobody ever feels done when it comes to money, right? And that can be a good thing or it can be a bad thing when it comes to money. I mean, let's think about this. Let's bring this home. When is the last time you said to yourself, oh, I now make $70,000 per year. I don't want to make any more money. Or I make $150,000 a year. I don't really want to make any more money. Like, nobody says that ever, not even millionaires. And millionaires are human just like you. The bar just keeps moving higher and higher. $1 million turns into $5 million. 5 million turns into 10 million. It's not always because of greed. I mean, just because your $70,000 a year salary turns into $200,000 a year salary, it doesn't mean you're greedy. It's the same concept with a millionaire. Their 1 million turns into 5 million. It's not always because of greed. Sometimes it's just about wanting to keep going and keep working. Sometimes it's just about wanting more. Sometimes it's just about security, having more impact, or just the thrill of growth. Look, everyday millionaires with 2 or 3 million in assets, they want more. They want more freedom. They want more protection. They want more stability. They want more for their family, whatever it could be. Wanting more is a human thing. It's not a millionaire thing or a greedy person thing. And so it doesn't end with $1 million for millionaires. But millionaires won't say that because of the negative connotation with saying that nowadays in our society. Let's go to number 7. Number 7 is simply this. A lot of millionaires don't necessarily feel rich. Here's the part that shocks a lot of people. Many millionaires, they don't even see themselves as wealthy because wealth is a relative thing that you can't necessarily put your finger on when you're talking about $1 million, $2 million, $500,000, $300,000. Look, when you compare down, millionaires compare themselves with people that don't have $1 million, you feel rich. But when millionaires compare themselves to a person that has 20 or 30 million, or even a millionaire comparing themselves with somebody who has 2 million, sometimes you don't feel as rich. Look, somebody that has $2 million net worth in Los Angeles, they may not feel rich when the neighbor down the street has 10 million. Look, this one is really important because I talk to people every single day about their money in my coaching and my mentoring business. And many of these people, they doing really, really good with their money, right? Really well financially, but they don't feel like it. I talk to people that make $300,000 and $400,000 a year, and people that have a $900,000, $1.5 million, $2 million net worth, and a lot of them don't feel rich. You'd be shocked because wealth is relative. And this is why we have to be careful when we do something like scroll on social media, right? If you're doing good financially and you scroll all day on IG, then you may feel inferior, even though you're not. You're doing well. You're doing really good. You're doing better than most people walking the planet, but you're scrolling on IG all day. And that's like being a high school basketball player, but watching ESPN NBA highlights every day, right? At some point, you may be a great high school basketball player, but you're not going to feel it. You're going to feel inferior because you've been watching NBA highlights all day. Same thing happens with money, right? Comparisons happen at all levels, and comparisons make people that are doing well with money and even millionaires feel small. So you have a lot of millionaires today who don't feel rich. But if you admit that publicly, you're going to have 90% of the world looking at you side-eyed like you crazy. And so that's why you have a lot of millionaires that are never going to admit that they don't feel rich. Now, number 8 is this. A lot of millionaires, they've had help that they don't necessarily talk about all the time. Most millionaires will not admit how much timing, connections, mentoring, and all these types of things has helped play a role in their story to get to where they are. A lot of them will freely tell you about the grind, right? The sleeping in the car, the being homeless, the taking a shower in the public restrooms, right? But they don't always mention the mentor who opened the door, the partner who took a chance on them, or the break that they got that changed everything in their lives. A lot of the entrepreneurs, not all of them, but a lot of the entrepreneurs that you see out there doing well with their business, their startup, a lot of them had angel investors or family backing, right? An uncle, an aunt, a grandparent that loaned them $5, $10, $30, $40,000 to get started. Even I had role models and opportunities that shaped my path. It's those people who took chances that sometimes fueled our beliefs to be crazy or fueled us to keep going when we weren't going to keep going, right? And that stuff matters, right? Look, hard work matters, but so does help. And a lot of millionaires won't necessarily admit that freely. Now, let's not get it twisted. More than 75% of millionaires didn't get any inheritance necessarily. But sometimes we all know that help doesn't always come in the form of money, right? And so you have a lot of millionaires out there that just don't tell that story of the help they got to get to where they are. So listen, those are the 8 things that millionaires, they usually won't admit, but I just exposed them to you on this video. Now, if you want to start building your millionaire mindset the right way, check out the link in the description box below where you can join my VIP early access for my new course, The 4 Steps to Maximize Your Money. Don't wait. Secure your spot today before this course goes public. Look, if you got value out of this video, do me a favor, say I got value in the comment section below and smash that like button and share this video with somebody who you know. Listen, the best person who's going to take care of the old you is the young you. Guys, take good care of yourself and take care of other people. Until the next video, peace.